Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome back to the Last Drop Africa podcast. My name is Alex Taremo. We had something of a hiatus in the last couple of months. We haven't been able to serve you as we should have. It's mostly Francis Mkule's problem. So when you see him anywhere on the street, somewhere in Beijing or Shanghai or Guangzhou, or his domicile in China, kindly punch him on our behalf. But nonetheless, we have to move regardless. We have a lot of things that we've been doing while we were away. The last time we conversed, I was in Berlin, but I'm back now on the land in Uganda. I'm happy to be here. I've had quite an experience already. Such a place it is, this country called Uganda. You know what they say, there's nothing better than being home. Let's talk about the events that have been happening in Uganda. You know, when we started this Last Drop Africa podcast, we wanted you to understand the intricacies of how the environment works, considering that there's been quite a number of changes due to the things that you and me do to the environment. But of course, quite a number of you don't want to take responsibility, and we're here now. You know, rivers bursting their banks. First it was in Kasese, then now there was flooding in Kigezi. We have had flooding in Mbale. We've had River Ruizi, of all rivers, busting banks in Mbara. River Katonga flooding and collapsing a bridge, diverting roads to some of the farthest ends of the earth. To get to Mbara, you need not just Chikomando in your system, but you also need about 7 hours to spare, a lot of sleep, and some very good music to carry you through that road. It is quite some distance. I saw my colleague Edward Msima saying, yeah, it's far, but you get to see the greenery. Not something Ugandan would miss. You see the greenery everywhere. But the key aspect of this conversation is that the environment is changing, and its changes are rather catastrophic. We've lost quite a number of lives. Quite a number of families have lost their homes. Those who had food have lost it, and those who had livelihoods depending on agriculture have lost it as well. So as we head into the World Environment Day, which is on June 5th, I need us to reflect on the actions that we've done to this environment and find ways to remedy some of those aspects. We've discussed some of the solutions here already. This year the theme is around plastic pollution. I have talked about plastics. I have urged people not to throw bottles out of cars. I have urged people to recycle this content. I have urged NEMA and other regulators to have an iron hand on the manufacturers of these plastics, but we're not getting far on that front. So we're going to have to take some of the matters into our own hands and find ways to save this environment. So I can share a couple of examples now. For those of us who drink water, you're going to a conference. I've done quite a number of those since I returned. Carry a water bottle. That's something you can reuse and recycle. Add your water there and leave the bottle where you've used it. They will find a way to displace it or dispose it off in an irresponsible way. If you're eating food, find a way to package your food in a way that doesn't have to be in a plastic lunchbox. If you are an organization, a corporate company, and you want to do all these conferences in your boardroom, have a water dispenser, but do not bring 10, 30 cartons of mineral water just to have each one flex that muscle. They can all go to that dispensing point, put the water in their water bottles, and consume it. When NEMA brought up this car trash bin, we're all up in arms because it's not entirely new phenomenon. It's happening everywhere else in the world. But for us, the way they went about it, I have had some opinions from lawyers and their expert points of view on how this law doesn't have grounding in the constitution. This is so illegal. But morally, to the environment, it's something that we need to reflect on. It's as correct as could be. And most of these corporate white collar masquerading as clean human beings are the ones who actually do the most detriment to the environment. And then they're the ones who go to Twitter and complain about flooding on Kampala Road, on Ginger Road, on Chambogo Road. What do you expect to be the result of dumping plastics? Like when we were in Gulu, one of my mentors, Joachim Buembo, said there are some logical actions that you would expect to come out of a process. If you get a drunk driver and put them on a steering wheel of a rickety, non-roadworthy vehicle, an accident happens. You can't say it's an accident. It's something you would expect to happen if a drunk driver got behind of a wheel of a rickety vehicle. Now, if you throw plastic in a drainage, like has been the case on Nachibaba Channel, you go to Rosella, you'll be shocked. You will find all the plastics that you've been throwing there. So when it rains in the morning and they clog the drainage and it floods, you have no moral authority to complain. So these things cannot be done at government level. They will not be done at policy level. They have to be done at individual level. And that's where the majority of the action has to be taken. We can sit and say, oh, the Chinese are mining sand, rightfully there, in a very responsible way. We've done some stories on that as well. But their action alone cannot have led to the bridge to collapse. There's other actions happening along that river, straight from where it enters Uganda to when it pours water in Lake Victoria, and we have to take some responsibility for some of these actions. I know a colleague in Nuzira who has a floating boat. It is sitting on 65,000 plastic bottles. He went by himself into Lake Victoria, fished out all these plastic bottles, weaved them together, made a plastic bar on which we go and make merry. But the history of that is because he took personal initiative to do something about the pollution on the lake. Now we need more like those. We need a lot of us to take initiative to do things that are going to save the environment. You know, when I interviewed Miss Naomi Karikaho, the corporate communication manager at NEMA, she said, most of you go and throw birthday parties, you make merry, you got all these fancy bars, but when was the last time you used your birthday to plant a tree? I, for one, my birthday is coming out in exactly 16 days, on June the 16th, and I intend at least to plant 16 trees. I'm turning 32, so I'll get that 16 and multiply it by 2. I'll do it in the wetlands of Kazo. So I hope that that's an example from which we can draw to do some examples of good on our land that we have, but to save the environment that has been mothering us since we dropped on it. There, of course, are the examples of environmental degradation that we all know about. We know about the wetlands, how they've been turned into industrial zones. We know about forests have been turned into sugarcane growing. We know about the deforestation that has been largely orchestrated by charcoal. Even trees that shouldn't have in the first place been cut are now the target of the cutting, like shea trees in northern Uganda, where most of the powerful people now are cutting charcoal and exporting it. This is information that is not exactly classified. It's there. If you go to Mabera Forest and you just take 2 steps inside the forest, you'll be surprised what you'll find. It's supposed to be the biggest tropical forest in this country. It is not. It is decreasing and dying away while we see it. It's about time that some action is done to replace some of the trees that have been cut. Of course, you've had all these tree planting campaigns from the beginning of time. They are not going to stop because, again, we have to restore the damage that we have done, but there are also other interesting ways that you can participate. The Last Drop is yet to launch an interesting project that I will tell you about, where from whichever part of the world, I know this podcast I've noticed is largely listened to in the United States, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in India, the UK, Kenya, and then some parts of Latin America. You can be able to plant a tree in Uganda without necessarily having to come to Uganda. So it's much of like a virtual tree planting thing. So we plant the tree on your behalf, name it after you, send us your donation, and a tree is growing on your behalf. And this can happen on any part of the world. It doesn't have to be in Uganda. Anyone can do this from wherever they are. But there needs to be action taken to reverse some of the work that has been happening. We need to also be intentional on the trees that we plant. Some of them have to be having a bit of carbon capture elements. Of course, they take a bit of time to grow, but we have time. Otherwise, we have been mothered on this earth for now 2022 years, 23 years. Imagine what's going to be like going forth. When the rains come, they are severe. When the sun comes, it's unforgiving. We need to have ways to restore what damage that we have done to this environment. I implore you to join us on this cause. Take your time to reflect on these words. We have many ways with which you can engage with us. You can go to lastdropafrica.org. You'll find ways in which you can consume our content. This podcast is available on all platforms. You can go to YouTube. You can go to social media platforms that are all at Last Drop Africa. Send us your shout-outs. Show us what you're doing to protect the environment. It could be a picture, it could be a selfie, it could be a video, a reel. Tag us in that video or that picture or in that reel, and we'll be able to extrapolate that conversation to the rest of the world. Of course, I know that we're not all seated. I know those who are doing amazing work, and I commend all of you, the activists, the corporate companies that are running CSR campaigns in tree planting, those who are doing work in the food security sector, those who are doing work in the wetland restoration sector, those who are doing work in saving people who are living in rather dangerous areas like mountain slopes or river banks or lake banks. Those who are doing work on cleaning lakes like Chebet in Nuzira. We see you, appreciate you so much. And those who are not doing any work, maybe it's about time that you pulled up your socks, because there's no one that's going to come and save you from yourself. As the great Nas said, and I mean the rapper, there's got to be more of us. If it's just me and Edward and Bella and Patra, then there needs to be more. So we have a volunteer program in which you can join us. The details are on the website. Just go and sign up and let's do this work together. Next year, by the time it's One Environment Day again, there should be something positive for us to celebrate. Not a road collapsing, not people having to lose their homes and livelihood because of it. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a blessed one.